I've worked a lot on the design of hospitals. Actually, I am professor of design at an architecture school in Europe. And one of my very first projects after my factory was the design of this building. Now I'm going to point out something very interesting. Can you see that? What would that be? Not for water. It moves. Well, when around there it moves, not water, but yes, air. Basically, these are wind catchers. And by catching the wind, because the local people told us the wind comes from here, we create those wind catchers. And they go underground through tunnels. And in those tunnels we have aluminum rods put into the ground. And the air, this is in the tropics, the air is 100% humidity, 45 degrees. And by the time it gets to the building, the air is 16% humidity, 1/6, and 24 degrees. And we do it by catching the wind. It's been working since '94. No moving parts. Do you have a bit of humidity in Taiwan in the summertime? Yeah, gets sticky. Well, you are using air conditioners. Here is the inlet. There's the outlet. There's the building, only using renewable energies. There's my bamboo stuff. I've been experimenting with a lot of building systems. And what we're trying to do is really bringing physics to the people. When I ask teachers, what's the most difficult to teach? Number one, most of the time, mathematics. Then comes physics. I mean, they're the difficult ones. Biology and chemistry, maybe, if the parents push enough. But what I have wanted to do is to demonstrate that you can do social housing with bamboo. And social housing with air conditioners. So the buildings that you have not seen so well in those pictures are buildings that were experimental buildings to learn how to do social housing with air conditioning. And we developed a technique so that people themselves could assemble a bamboo building. And people cannot read or write, but only with those 12 drawings, they know how to make a bamboo building. And here's the building. Can you see it more or less? What do you think is the cost of the building? How much does it cost people to have a 2-story building and a balcony? 2-story building with a balcony. 64 square meters. How much would that cost? And kind of nice.
40,000 US dollars.
How much?
40.
40,000? Less.
30.
Drop a zero. $1,700. And the staircase, you recognize, we create a vortex in the staircase and the building is air conditioned. $1,700 for a 2-story building with a balcony. Pretty cheap. But what we need is bamboo. Is bamboo cheap or expensive? Very cheap. And it's beautiful. You have to polish it like your shoes. This is a farmhouse in Colombia, also made out of bamboo. This is a bamboo structure, complete bamboo structure. What is expensive in a building is the structure of the building. And so we're creating those buildings. Bamboo sequesters 40 times more CO2 per hectare per year than a eucalyptus forest. 40 times. Now, do we want to do something about climate change? Do we really want to do something? Then we have to start building with bamboo. There are 1 billion people in Asia. In Asia, there are 1 billion people living in bamboo. And all the people in Asia who live in bamboo think they're poor. Bamboo is a symbol of poverty, not of wealth. On 100 square meters, you can harvest 65 poles of bamboo after having planted it 3 years before. And with 65 poles of bamboo, you build that house that you saw. All you need, 65. 65. Is there a housing problem in Asia? No, there's no housing problem in Asia. There's none. There's a problem with the way we're trying to solve it. Yes, that I agree with. But there's no housing problem. I published this book, Grow Your Own House. We're not building our own house, we are growing our own house. We have programs in Latin America where young girls at the age of 12 to 15 plant their bamboo. At the age of 18 they harvest the bamboo. At the age of 19 they have their own home. If you want to do something about physical abuse of macho men in Latin America against girls, give the girls their own house.
How long does it take to grow your own house?
3 years. 3 years. This is a program to empower women. It's not carbon sequestration. That's one of the side effects. But we have to realize that we can have multiple benefits if we design the program to have multiple benefits. But we are training our kids only to have one objective: pass the class, pass the exam. And when we're in life, we're supposed to do one thing only. While we have so many multiple capabilities, we're being told to focus on one only. Every child has the capability to be such a diverse and pleasant, varied individual. And we ask them to do one thing. Grow your own house is again one of those concepts that takes you out of the box. We sold already 200,000 copies of the book. It is done together with Vitra Design. So Vitra is one of the best sellers of Vitra. And I'm looking for the fable, because I have the fable somewhere. But here it is. Why don't they like me? That's the name of the fable. Because if you're so good, why don't they like me? You know, it's actually a question that many children have. When they're in class and they're being bullied, why don't they like me? What did I do wrong? And very often the child has no idea. And very often the one who's bullying has no idea either. It's just the way it is. So here, since we cannot really talk children direct about bullying and why don't you like me, I'm talking about the bamboo, who actually is so great and is so beautiful.
How long can the bamboo house last?
3,000 years. At least in China, the oldest building in the world is 3,000 years old. Thank you for the question, because the technique that we're using is when you need the bamboo, we need 9 meters or 6 meters. And then the waste of the bamboo we convert to charcoal. And the fumes from the charcoal are used to impregnate the bamboo. But the technique is that we first evaporate the gases, condensate them again, and re-evaporate them, and after 2 weeks of impregnation of the bamboo is cured. Because what is happening when children get into this and they start poking around, they find the biggest nursery of bamboo plants in Asia, in Ubud, in Bali. They poke around and they find this amazing product made in Indonesia, just an hour out of Jakarta, where they're blending cement and bamboo. And so they realize that the two can go together. They're not against each other, but sometimes they can go together. And then when they poke into it, they see that even the high-speed railways of Japan are using this product. And so what we want to make certain is when the children are going through the different fables and they're going into it, they're discovering a world that is real. That is the key. That's why I say fantasy, vision, reality. And so this is beautiful because not only do they find a great scientist, so what we want to make certain is that when children start digging around, Googling on the internet, so much is coming up. So what happens is that what they thought was a fable, a fantasy, a story about animals talking to each other with plants, actually is based in the real world. And that makes them so committed when they can discover that. Now that discovery can take a couple more years. That discovery is not done instantly. But when every child is finding its orientation and its interests, slowly but steadily, they're all finding their pathway with their major interests. But when they discover it, they tell all their friends. Let them Twitter now. Let them put it on their Facebook. Because now everyone will know. And that is why I think the social media can be such a positive, constructive tool as well. Because once the children get into that and start learning about everything that is real, and all these experiments that happen, I mean, the building you see here is constructed with the German building permit. Meaning that bamboo buildings can be constructed based on German building permits. Now, any of you studied in Germany? German engineers, we know them, right? They're tough. German government, the regulation, tough. So what we're realizing is that then the children see that the rigor of the science, and if they dig even deeper, they will find 10,000 pages on the approval procedures now deposited with the university in Turin. And maybe now they're ready to go and study architecture and do a master on this. That's what we want to do with children. Inspire them, but put them into a platform where there's so many potential directions. But every project that is mentioned in a fable is real. Every single one. And that is what I think makes me work 50% on the projects and 50% on the education.